have any plans for when you're out of school, or the holidays are coming up too? So any big plans coming up?
I have a lot of sleep to catch up on, certainly, from finals week. But for the most part, I'm pretty much staying at home, which will be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Get some home cooking too.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm also staying home this whole time. My older brother's coming back from Texas in the Army stuff, so
cool.
I go to see him and hang out with him probably.
Yeah, that'll be good. Spend some time with family.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take some time off around Christmas to try to get a ski trip into Boone. I don't know. We'll see if the
That'll be
weather
fun.
holds up.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of good snow, so
Yeah, that's
you
right.
should be able to
You guys
go.
do anything?
Well, we'll go to Asheville
Yeah.
this weekend. My son and daughter-in-law, that's funny to say. They've been married since October, so saying daughter-in-law is so cool. But we're going to Asheville to see them, and we always go to the Grove Park and eat dinner, and then we go to the Arboretum. They do a big light show, and then the trolls are there. So the same trolls that are at the Dix Park in Raleigh. I don't know if you've heard about them, but they're really cool. So I'm excited to find the trolls at the Arboretum. So that's exciting.
It'll be a fun adventure.
Yeah, so we're doing that this coming weekend before we lead into Christmas. So
Cool. Welcome to Behind the Lines, the podcast for Central Electric, where we try to take a behind-the-scenes look at some of the things that goes on at the co-op. I'm James Taylor, and to my left, your right, is Conni Tucker. We're the communications team here at Central, and we're super excited to continue bringing these conversations to not only our members, but the community as well. The co-op, a lot of people know us for keeping the lights on, getting them back on, but there's really so much more to it than that. Over the last couple of months, we've had conversations with our leadership, talking about some of the vision of the co-op, our linemen on getting what it takes to get the power back on, capital credits, different things like that. But today, we're super excited to talk about one of our community programs, the Youth Tour. And so just kind of give everyone some background. The Youth Tour is a program that not only Central Electric, but co-ops all across the country. Every year we select two, either a rising junior or a rising senior in high school, and to participate in the Youth Tour. The Youth Tour is a trip to Washington, D.C. 1,800 youth from across the country participate in it. But not only cover the electric co-op model, but spend some time on Capitol Hill, talking about what the co-op does to advocate on behalf of our members in Washington, D.C. So super excited to have Jude Stumpf and Chloe McGraw here with us today. We're going to kind of talk about their experience with the Youth Tour and some of the ins and outs on that. But Chloe, you're a junior at Ascend Leadership Academy in Sanford, and learned this last week you're studying Japanese, which is super cool. That's kind of unique, and we were just kind of talking about also your cross country star. Had some awesome performances in regionals and states, and have a meet tomorrow, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of things going on. And Jude, you're a junior at the School of Science and Math in Durham.
Yes.
And so you were at Central Carolina Academy prior to going to Science and Math, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, so, and you're Shakespearean, so you take an interest in Shakespeare, and you've performed on the stage at Temple here in Sanford a few times.
Yes.
And so we'll get into this as well, but you're also selected for the Youth Leadership Council as part of the Youth Tour, which is a really neat and cool experience. So welcome to you both. Excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Well, let's kind of jump into what the Youth Tour is. And Chloe, we'll start with you. So James just told us a little bit about the very basics of what the Youth Tour is, but what was your the most memorable part of the trip to DC for you, Chloe?
I'd say it was definitely like independence-wise. We got to go where we wanted to most of the time, and we had been like trusted to be in a group with other people our age and to go explore. I also feel like another memorable thing was to do the public speaking. I don't do that very often, so that was definitely something that was out of my comfort zone, but
So
yeah.
remind me, so the public speaking is optional. It's something
Yes.
that you can choose to do as part of the experience. You don't have to do it, but you chose to do it even though it's not comfortable for you. What did you get out of that experience?
I feel like I feel like I gained a lot more knowledge about how to go about presenting something, because for instance, you know, you have to do presentations in school, you have to present anywhere in life, there's always some reason why you have to, and kind of doing that was kind of like a head start into getting better at it, or trying to feel more confident doing it, because I myself don't really do public speaking stuff. So
how many people were you speaking in front of? Do you remember?
no, I just remember there's a lot of people.
Two would be too many, right? At the moment.
Yeah.
But that's really cool that you recognized, even though it was something you didn't necessarily enjoy, you recognized the growth opportunity in it and chose to do that and use it as an opportunity to get better. Jude, what would you say your most memorable part of the week was when you went?
I mean, I gotta say, I really did enjoy the whole thing, but I think for me, as someone who's always been interested in law and politics, I really liked that the North Carolina group got to go to Capitol Hill, and we got to hear from some of the interns who work for our representatives and senators. Some of them got to talk to us about what they do and how they got into their position and how they serve us, honestly. And I really enjoyed getting to hear about that. I thought it was really special to get to hear from them.
Chloe, what do you think going on the youth tour, how did it change your perspective about leadership?
I feel like it was kind of more of something that seemed out of reach, but kind of came into reach. So I honestly, I've had opportunities to do it in the past, yes, as I'm in the National Honor Society, so sometimes it is necessary, but it's kind of a thing where it's it's out of reach because I don't want to do it and it's not comfortable. But now that I've done it, and I've had to do it a few more times afterwards with school-related activities, but now that I'm doing it more often, I feel like it's more understandable, and I feel like it's more I just feel like I understand it more, you know what I mean?
I think pushing yourself out of your comfort zone really it's hard, but you gain so much confidence every time you do it.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I think, listen to both of you talking, particularly you, Chloe, putting yourself out there like that. I try to imagine myself your age. I'm like, that was a scary thing when I was in, and to see both of you just excelling at it is so incredible. And so, leadership, that's a big component of the youth tour, and I mean the application process as well. We get a lot of applications, and looking through that is trying to identify those future leaders, and that was a big part of the two of you being selected as our youth tour representatives. And so Jude, we talked about this a second ago, but you were selected as North Carolina's representative on the Youth Leadership Council, which is a really big honor and a big thing. Over the next year, you'll participate in some different things with NRECA. You'll be at the NRECA annual meeting, the statewide annual meeting. Kind of talk to us about that. What does that mean to you? How does it feel to represent North Carolina as the youth delegate?
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to represent North Carolina. So to land my position, we had a speech contest at the beginning of our week while we were still in North Carolina. And so in front of the other people who were selected for a youth tour for North Carolina and their parents, it's what Chloe was talking about. We all stood up, or those who chose to, stood up and gave speeches in front of everybody. So I'd say out of the 44 people who went for our North Carolina youth tour, I think 20 something of them got up and gave the speech. And at the end, everybody voted for who they thought who should be on the youth council for North Carolina. And I was fortunate enough to get selected for that. So that means that throughout the year, I'll represent North Carolina on the national level in terms of youth. and I'm fortunate enough to be able to attend the national conference, I think you would classify it as, the conference in Tennessee in March. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But I was obviously beyond excited to get selected for North Carolina, but I was also really looking forward to the opportunity to represent my state and to represent my co-op as well, because I feel very grateful for the opportunity Central Electric gave me to go on youth tour, and so I'm glad to kind of get to represent Central Electric and the rest of North Carolina on the national level. I think that's really excited me. I'm looking forward to the rest of the year in terms of being a YLC. So.
Yeah, that's a really exciting opportunity. And, you know, one thing we talked about was you have the kind of goal of going to law school one day. So, you know, it kind of fits hand in hand, the experience with the youth tour and then some of the things that you'll get experience with the leadership council. You alluded to that just a second ago, advocating on behalf of co-ops. And so how do you kind of see that experience helping shape your, you know, future goals with potentially going to law school, maybe you potentially working on Capitol Hill one day?
Yeah.
How do you see that kind of helping shape that?
Yeah. So as someone interested in law and politics, I think it was always great to get a chance to like look at advocacy and policy work, because we went, all of the 1,800 people all went to the national conference. And then a month later, the YLCs went back to DC. So it was me and I think it was 45 or roughly that other students from various states around the country. And we got talked to a lot by people who are working in policy, officials for NRECA, including like their lawyer, for example. And I thought that was really special to hear because they got to talk to us about what that looks like and what a career that I see myself in the future, how that would look. And I really got to learn a lot about policy and law in general and the types of things that I would be using in the future. So it was nice to get early exposure to those concepts that I see myself in the future.
What do you guys think of Capitol Hill? It's a pretty impressive
very
building
nice
to walk into, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part, Chloe?
Of like the whole thing in general?
Well, just the things you got to see and the places you got to go. And
honestly, just because of the career path I'm in is the art museums. I visited the Asian Art Museum, and then I also visited the other one. I forgot what that one was called, but it's just seeing everything was very amazing. It was just amazing seeing everything in there, and I liked to see all the different media and all the paintings from different like timelines. It's always very interesting for me to see that. And the sculptures always have like such a nice story to tell based on the artists. I also really liked seeing a lot of the historical museums that we got to see and the monuments. That was very nice.
Yeah.
I like to see how they represent the person or the historical moment, like the sculptures, the pictures they put up, and like the reasons why they put it up. It's always very interesting to see that.
right. I think the youth tour is so neat because they do such a good job of balancing the kind of the academic part of understanding the policy and the advocacy and the role of the cooperatives and all that, but also you're in DC, so you get to go to all the amazing places and they give you the independence to do it as, you know, a group and to go and to be responsible for yourself, which for a lot of teenagers might be the first time they've gotten to do some of those things. So I think that's really cool. It's a good balance, I think. So kind of shifting gears just a little bit, Chloe, we'll let you tackle this one first. Why do you think that programs like the youth tour matter for students in our community?
Honestly, I see it as an early chance of independence towards, you know how when you're like a teenager kid, you're very dependent on your parents, and I see it as a chance to understand like cooperative principles, but to also use those principles with how you're behaving on these trips, because you don't have your parents with you. You're selected here as somebody who is like you were like, oh wow, I got selected here, so I get to see all this stuff. But you also get independence. You also get to pretty much see the cooperatives of the electric company or whatever kind of youth tour you're in. You're going to see their cooperatives around you and how you're supposed to represent them. And overall, it's just you're preparing yourself for the future. Like, you're not going to have somebody with you the whole time, like how you're in groups with people and sometimes you get to go off on your own. You're not going to have an adult with you all the time.
Right.
So it's it's very independent based. And
I think I like that you kind of recognize that and the growth opportunities that you've been given through this process. I think that's very mature of you to recognize those things that you've been given and the opportunities and how to turn those into growing experiences and growth experiences. Jude, what advice would you give to students who might be thinking about going on the youth tour or applying to go on the youth tour, but they aren't sure if it's for them or whether they should? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, my biggest advice would honestly just be to go for it. I know that I felt kind of unsure when I was applying for a youth tour, actually. My mom and my aunt were very encouraging that I apply for it, but I was kind of on the ropes about it. But once I actually got to go on it and do it, I just kept thinking to myself, this was so worth it. Like, I'm so glad that I went with this. It can be definitely scary at first, especially if you opt in for the speech, which I do highly recommend doing. But it can be scary to like speak in front of those people. And I know I have fortunately had a good bit of experience having done theater and similar like speech related things in the past. But I know to many, like it was when I first started speaking publicly, it can be really scary. But honestly, my best advice is to go for it because it will never hurt to work on that skill. It will never harm you in life to be a good public speaker or to have experience doing that. So I would definitely recommend just honestly going for it. It is truly, I enjoyed the experience so much more than I ever thought I would have. So I would just honestly say go for it. It's 100% worth it.
Absolutely.
And we
Just
haven't
go
really
for it.
talked about it, but I mean, there were 1,800 students that participated from co-ops across the country. I'm assuming you met new people and introduced yourself and learned how to connect. I mean, that's a pretty big skill too, the social side of meeting 1,800 new people all of a sudden. But Chloe, what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about it?
Honestly, especially if it's somebody who is as like didn't want to do it, like I did not want to do it at first. I was heavily encouraged by my mama. She was like, Chloe, come on, you have to do it. Like, it's an opportunity. And I put my application in and I was like, okay, nothing probably won't happen with that. And I ended up getting in. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to go through with this, but I ended up going through with it. And I ended up also saying I would do the speech. And honestly, it's a lot better than you think. At first it's just like, whoa, this is insane. I don't want to do this. This is very scary. But it ended up as the week went on, I kind of mellowed down, and I feel like the stress levels I had kind of also went down because it was it's so much easier than you think it would be. And honestly, anyone who is considering doing it just should go with it because you may be really scared at first, but as someone who is really scared at first, it gets really good quickly. You end up enjoying your time there.
I love that I feel like you had two different perspectives going into it, and you both ended up in a really good place where you recognize the value. Because Jude, it doesn't feel like you were as scared, but Chloe, I love that you admit how scared you were, but it just, you powered through, which I think was really great, and then had an amazing experience. So I think that's really, really cool. Good perspectives.
Well, getting out of your comfort zone. That's, listening the two of you talk and getting to know you over the last, couple weeks that's where growth happens. And you two are such great representatives of the co-op. So highly impressed by both of you. It's been really neat to get to know you, to hear you talk about not only just the youth tour and the experience there and some of the growth that you had during the youth tour, but your future plans. And we're so excited to continue watching you on your journeys from this point forward and to see, how you take some of the things that you learned during the youth tour and some of the things during the youth leadership council and kind of springboard and some of those things. And so as we kind of start to wrap it up, as you both alluded to it, our encouragement to everyone out there. So any rising juniors or seniors in high school, go for it, right? Jude, isn't that what you said? Go for
That's it. Yeah.
Take the chance and go for it. Because right now we have the application window is actually open for the 2026 youth tour trip. So it runs through January 20th of next year, and the trip will be in June. Have they announced the dates yet?
They have. The dates are June 14th through the 20th of 2026. So any students out there thinking about it, look at your calendar, talk to your parents, see if those dates are available. But the applications do close on January the 20th. So there's a little bit of urgency to get those applications in for sure.
So as we've heard from Jude and Chloe, it's a great opportunity, great trip, lots of learning opportunities and growth opportunities. And so thank you to you both for, not only taking the chance and going on the youth tour, but also for coming in here, talking about it. And Jude, wish you all the best as your journey continues on the Leadership Council over the next couple of months. And so, as we kind of wrap it up, Christmas is coming up, New Year's. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to both of you and all our listeners out there. And until next time, signing off from Behind the Lines.